St. Mary's. It is with great pleasure that I, Kathy Moyer, present to you my third graders for Saluting New Readers. This is the third year that we have done this. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Connor Maloney, and I'm going to be reading The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Listen here, Huck. I've got to tell you why I'm here, but you must never tell a soul. After I promised, Jim told me a story. Well, Huck, I had to run off, he said. Miss Watson, she picked on me all the time and treated me poorly, but she always said she wouldn't sell me down in New Orleans. But I noticed there was a slave trader around the place a lot, and I began to get uneasy. Well, one night, I crept home late, and I heard Miss Watson tell the widow that she was going to sell me down to New Orleans for $800. It was so much money she just couldn't resist. The widow tried to talk her out of it, but I got so scared I never waited to hear the rest. I let out mighty quick, I tell you. So for the past week, Jim was in hiding too. We both agreed that it was good to have company, and we set about fishing for our lunch. Chapter 5. The Woman Helps Huck. Well, the days went along and the river rose over its banks, then went down again. It was a good time for fishing. We baited one of the big hooks with a skinned rabbit and caught us a catfish as big as a man. It was 6 feet and 2 inches long and weighed over 200 pounds. It was as big a fish as ever was caught in Mississippi, I reckon. Jim said he hadn't ever seen a bigger one. We couldn't haul him in, of course. He would have pulled the two of us into the river. We just sat there watching him tear around and around until he got tired and drowned. When we cut him open, we found a brass button, a round ball, and lots of rubbish in his stomach. We split the ball open with a hatchet and found a spool inside. Jim said the spool had to have been inside the ball a long time for it to be cut over and made into a ball. A fish like this would have been worth a lot of money in the village. Its snow white meat is sold by the pound and makes a good fried fish. It was all ours. Next morning, life was getting slow and dull, and I wanted to get excited about something or other. I decided to slip over across the river and find out what was going on. Jim liked the idea, but he said I shouldn't go in the dark and be very careful. Then he thought a while and came up with a better idea. A few days earlier, when Stop. Thank you for listening to me read. If you want to see how the story ends, you can check it out at your local library.
Hi, my name is Melanie Humphrey, and I'm going to be reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire for you. Chapter 1, The Riddle House. In the villages of Little Haggington, still called it the Riddle House, even though it had been many years since the Riddle family had lived there. It stood on a hill overlooking the village. Some of its windows bore tiles missing from its roof, and ivy spread unchecking over its face. One fine-looking manor, and easily the largest and grandest building, for miles around the Riddle House was now damp, dilapidated, and unoccupied. The Little Haggingtons all agreed that the old house was creepy. A half a century ago, something strange and horrible happened there. Something older than inhabitants of the village still like to discuss when the topics of the gossip were scarce. The story had been picked over so many times and had been so embraced in so many places that nobody was quite sure what the truth was anymore. Every version of the tale, however, started in the same place. 50 years before daybreak, on a fine summer morning when the Riddle House had still been well kept and impressive, a maid had entered the drawing room to find all the riddles dead. The maid had run straight down the hill of villages and around as many people as she could, lying there with their eyes open, cold eyes, stoned their dinner things. The police were summoned, and the whole little Haggington seized this shocked curiosity. Illegal descent of excitement. Nobody wasted their breath pretending to feel very sad about the riddles, for they had been most unpopular. Elderly Mr. and Mrs. Riddle had been rich, snobbish, and rude. Their grown-up son, Tom, had been anything worse. All the villagers cared about what the identity of the murder. For plainly, three apparently health people did not drop dead of natural causes on the same night. The handed man of the village club did a brilliant trade that night. The whole village had seemed to turn out these dust of murders. They were rewarded for leaving their fireside when the riddle cook arrived there unexpectedly. The miss announced to the Sandwich Club that man called Frank Bryce had just been arrested. Thank you for listening to me read. If you want to find out how the story ends, you can check it out at your local library.
Hi, my name is Luca Fitzgerald, and I will be reading Ragweed. Now, a mouse has to do what a mouse has to do. Ragweed, a golden mouse with dark orange fur, round ears, and not very long tail, was saying goodbye to his mother and father, as well as to 50 of his brothers and sisters. They were all gathered by the family nest, which was situated just above the banks of the brook. Is it something about us what's making you leave home? His mother, whose name was Clover, asked tearfully. She was small and round with silky black eyes. Ah, Mom, that's not fair, Ragweed replied, wishing he could leave without so much fuss. I want to see things. I am almost 4 months old. You know, I mean, the work is wonderful, but, well, it's not the whole world. Ragweed's father, Valerian, drew himself up. He was long-faced and lanky, and his scruffy whiskers were touched with gray. Now, son, he said, no need to poke fun at us stay-at-homes. I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't mean to joke. All I'm doing is going off to explore what else there is. You know, before settling down, I won't be gone long. Will you absolutely promise to come back? Clover asked. Though Ragweed had carefully slicked down his fur so that it was quite neat and proper, she found a small strand around his ear that required careful adjusting. But then Ragweed was very special to her. Of course I will, Ragweed assured her, trying to duck his mother's fussy fixing. And if you meet a young female mouse, Clover added gently, whether you or mom, you develop a fondness, just make sure she really cares for you. Ragweed blushed. Hey, Mom, I'm too young for that stuff anyway. I'm too young for that stuff. Anyway, thank you for listening to me read. If you want to know the end of this book, you can check it out in your local library.
Hello, my name is Molly, and I'm going to be reading Fantastic Mr. Fox. Chapter 1, The Three Farmers. Down in the valley, there were 3 farms. The owners of these farms had done well. They were rich men. They were also nasty men. All 3 of them were about as nasty and mean as any man you could meet. Their names were Farmer Bogus, Farmer Bunce, and Farmer Bean. Bogus was a chicken farmer. He kept thousands of chickens. He was enormously fat. This was because he ate 3 boiled chickens smothered with dumplings every day for breakfast, lunch, and supper. Bunce was a duck and goose farmer. He kept thousands of ducks and geese. He was a kind of pot-bellied dwarf. He was so short, his chin would have been underwater in the shallow end of any pool in the world. His food was donuts and goose livers. He mashed the livers into a disgusting paste and then stuffed the paste into the donuts. This diet gave him a tummy ache and a beastly temper. Bean was a turkey and apple farmer. He kept thousands of turkeys and an orchard full of apple trees. He never ate any food at all. Instead, he drank gallons of strong cider, which he made from the apples in his orchard. He was as thin as a pencil and the cleverest of them all. August and Bunce and Bean, one fat, one short, one lean. These horrible crooks so different in looks, but nonetheless equally mean. That is what the children round about used to sing when they saw them. Chapter 2, Mr. Fox. On a hill above the valley there was a wood. In the wood there was a huge tree, and in the tree there was a hole. In the hole lived Mr. Fox and Mrs. Fox and their 4 small foxes. Every evening, as soon as it got dark, Mr. Fox would say to Mrs. Fox, "Well, my darling, what shall it be this time? A plump chicken from Bugus, a duck or a goose from Bunce, or a nice turkey from Bean?" And when Mrs. Fox told him what she wanted, Mr. Fox would creep down into the valley in the darkness of the night and help himself. August and Bunce and Bean knew very well what was going on, and it made them wild with rage. They were not men who liked to give anything away, less still did they like anything to be stolen from them. So every night, each of them would take a shotgun and hide in a dark place somewhere on his own farm, hoping to catch the robber. But Mr. Fox was too clever for them. Thank you for listening to me read. Thank you for listening to me read. If you would like to know how the story ends, check it out at your local library.
Hi, my name is Jason, and the book I'm reading is Star Wars Episode 1. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Tatooine, the suns blew down out of the cloudless blue sky, washing the vast desert wastes of a planet in brilliant white light. The glare was off the flat, sandy surface in a wet shimmer of blistering heat to fill the gaps between the massive cliff faces and solitary outcroppings in the mountains that were the planet's sole distinguishing feature. Sharply edged, the monoliths stood like sentries keeping watch in the watery haze. When the pod races streaked past, engines roaring with ferocious hunger and relentless drive, the heat and the light seemed to shatter, and mountains themselves to tremble. Lincoln Skywalker leaned to the curve of the raceway that took him past the stone arch, marking the entry into Beggar's Canyon and the first lap of the run, easing the thruster bars forward, giving the engines a little more juice. The wedge-shaped rockets exploded with power, the right a tad harder than the left, banking the top, which Anakin sat sharply to the left to clear the turn. Swiftly, he adjusted the sting to straighten the racer, boosted power further, and shot through the arc. Loose sand whiplash, the wake of the passing filling the air with a gritty sheen, whirling and dancing through the heat. He whipped into the canyon, fingers playing across the controls, hands steady on the steering. It was all so quick, so instantaneous. One mistake, one misjudgment, and he was out of the race and lucky if he went dead. That was the thrill of it. All that power, all that speed, just at his fingertip, no margin for error. 2 huge turbines dragged the fragile pod over sandy flats, around jagged-edged mountains, down shattered jaws, and over heat-wrenching drops in a series of twisting, winding curves and jumps that greater speed a driver could manage. Control cables ran from the pod to the engines. The energy binders locked the engines into each other. If any part of the 3 struck something solid, the whole of the assembly would collapse in a splintering of metal and a fiery wash of rocket fuel. If any part broke free, it was all over. A grin split Anakin's young face as he injected a bit more power into the thrusters. Thank you for listening to me read. If you want to know how the story ends, check it out at your local library.
Hi, my name is Devin Blaney, and I'm going to be reading Star Wars. In a warm and snowy forest far, far away, there once lived a mother fruit bat with her new baby. Oh, how Mother Bat loved her soft, tiny baby. I'll name you Stella Luna, she crooned. Each night, Mother Bat would carry Stella Luna clutched to her chest as she flew out to search for food. One night, as Mother Bat followed the heavy scent of ripe fruit, an owl spotted. On silent wings, the powerful bird swooped down upon the bats. Dodging and shrieking, Mother Bat tried to escape, but the owl struck again and again, knocking Stella Luna into the air. Her baby wings were as limp and useless as wet paper. Down and down she went faster and faster into the forest below. The dark leafy tangle of branches caught Stella Luna as she fell. One twig was small enough for Stella Luna's tiny feet. Grabbing her wings around her, she clutched the thin branch, trembling with cold and fear. Mother, Stella Luna squeaked, where are you? By daybreak, the baby bat pulled on no longer. Down again she dropped. Stella Luna landed head first in the soft downy nest, startling the 3 baby birds who lived there. Stella Luna quickly clambered from the nest and hung out of sight below. She listened to the babble of the 3 birds. What was that? Cried Flap. I don't know, but it's hanging by its feet, chirped Flutter. Shh, here comes Mama, hissed Flip. Many times that day, Mama bird flew away, always returning with food for her babies. Stella Luna was terribly hungry, but not for the crawly things Mama bird brought. Finally, though, the little bat could bear it no longer. She climbed to the nest, closed her eyes, and opened her mouth. Flop, and dropped a big green grasshopper. Stella learned to be like the bird. She stayed awake all day and slept at night. She ate bugs even though they tasted awful. Her bat ways were quickly disappearing, except for one thing. Stella Luna still liked to sleep hanging by her feet. Once when Mama was away, the curious baby birds decided to try it too. When Mama bird came home, she saw 8 tiny feet gripping the edge of the nest. Eat! She cried. Get back up here this instant. You're going to fall and break your neck. The birds clambered back into the nest, but Mama bird stopped Stella Luna. Thank you for listening to me read. If you want to know how the story ends, you can check it out at your local library.
Hello, my name is Scott Wellington, and I'm going to be reading Jumanji. Now remember, Mother said, your father and I are bringing food as parties to the office, so please keep that house neat. Quite so, added Fozzie, tucking the scarf inside his coat. Mother peered into the hall mirror and carefully pinned her hat in place. Then knelt and kissed both children goodbye. When the front door closed, Rudy and Peter giggled with delight. They took out all the toys from the toy chest and made a terrible noise. The laughter slowly turned to silence till finally Peter slouched into a chair. You know what? He said. I'm really bored. Me too, said Rudy. Why don't we go outside and play? Peter agreed, so they set up across the street to the park. It was cold from the rain. The children could see their breath like steam. They rolled in leaves, and when Judy tried to stuff some leaves down Peter's sweater, he jumped and ran behind the tree. When his sister caught up with him, he was kneeling at the foot of the tree looking at a long, thin box. What is it? What's that? Judy asked. It's a game, said Peter, handing her the box. Jumanji, Peter read from the box. A jungle adventure game. Look, Peter said, pointing to the notes at the bottom of the box, and children like handwriting. The words, free game. Fun for some, but not for all. Yes. Read instructions carefully. Want to take it home? Judy asked. Not really, said Peter. I'm sure someone left it here because it's so boring. Oh, come on, protested Judy. Let's give it a try. Race you home. And off she ran, Miss Peter out of the house. At home, the children spread the game out on the card table. It looked very much like the games they already had. There's a board that was wrapped and folded, revealing a path of colored squares. The squares had messages written on them. The path started in the deepest jungle and ended up in the city of Jumanji, a city of goldens and towers. Peter began to shake the dice and play with the other pieces in the box. Put those down and listen, said Judy. I'm going to read the instructions. Jumanji, a young people's jungle adventure game, especially designed for the bored and restless. 8. Players select a piece and place it in the deepest jungle. B. Player rolls dice and moves piece along the path through the into the jungle. C.
shoot, the first player to reach the long game yells the city's name out loud as the winner. Thank you for listening to me. If you wish to hear the rest of the story, you can check it out at your local library. Hi, my name is Linda Borowski, and I'm going to be reading A Porcupine Named Fluffy. When Mr. and Mrs. Porcupine had their first child, they were delighted. Now he needed a name. Should they call him Spike? No, Spike was too common. Should they call him Lance? No, Lance sounded too fierce. Should they call him Needle Loser? No, Needle Loser was too long. Freckles, Pokey, Pillion, then together they had an idea. Let's call him Fluffy. It's such a pretty name, Fluffy. But soon there came a time when Fluffy began to doubt that he was Fluffy. At first he became suspicious when he backed into the door and stepped fast. That was not a Fluffy thing to do. He was even more convinced when he accidentally slipped on his back and poked holes in the mattress, a very unfluffy thing to do. When he tried to carry an umbrella, he knew the truth without a doubt. Fluffy definitely wasn't. So he decided to become fluffier. Not so fluffy, he thought, I'll be a cloud. But he couldn't stay up. I know, pillows are fluffy, he said. I'll be a pillow. But when his mother sat on him, she was not pleased. He tried soaking in a bubble bath for 45 minutes, but he did not become fluffy. He became soggy. He tried whipped cream. He put a little on each quill. It was not easy, and it took more than half a day. But this did not make Fluffy fluffy. You should have named me Gooey, he sighed. He ate a lot of fluffy marshmallows. He rolled in shaving cream and feathers. He even tried to become a bunny, but the truth remains, Fluffy wasn't. One afternoon, Fluffy set out for a walk, trying to think of ways to become fluffy. Before long, he met a very large rhinoceros. There, said the rhinoceros, I'm going to give you a rough time. Fluffy didn't know what a rough time was, but he didn't like the sound of it at all. What is your name, small prickly thing? Asked the rhinoceros unkindly. Fluffy, said Fluffy. The rhinoceros smiled. He giggled, then he laughed out loud. Thank you for listening to me read. If you want to know how the story ends, you can check it out at your local library.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Boone, and I'm going to be reading The Fighters out of the Timberwolves, Learning to Live Together. Here are two young wolves fighting half in play, half for real. The one on top is winning, threatening, with lips curled to show his formidable teeth. The other has surrendered, with face turned away in submission. They are learning important lessons from each other about living together. How to win without killing, to lose without being killed. Take advantage of weakness and defer to greater strength. Wolves are spread across Asia, North America, North Europe. Humans have displaced them for many of their former countries. And today they are restricted to places where there are few, if any, people, often where food is scarce. Gray or brown, like large, raggedy dogs, they are intelligent and ruthless. As meat eaters, they cannot be cheated and must be ready to kill whatever crosses their path. They live singly in pairs or in loose packs of up to a dozen or more. When game is small or scarce, they hunt alone in small bands. When the prey is large, moose for example, they combine into larger bands and hunt cooperatively. Learning to cooperate can be a can be painful business in which this kind of ritual fighting plays an important role. Thank you for listening to me read.
Hi, my name is Camille Lake, and I am reading The Story of Ferdinand by Monroe Leaf. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together. But not Ferdinand. He liked to sit just quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in the shade all day and smell the flowers. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he would be lonesome all by himself. "Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head?" she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. I like it better here where I can sit just quietly and smell the flowers." His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him sit there and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and strong. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. But not Ferdinand. He still liked to sit just quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers. One day, 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting, leaping and jumping so the men would think that they were very, very strong and fierce and pick them. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care, so he went out to his favorite cork tree to sit down. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him, and that is just what the bee did to Ferdinand.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to me read. If you want to see how the story ends, you can check it out at your local library.
Hi, my name is Zion Davidson, and I am going to be reading Angel Park All-Stars. But someone forgot to tell the Giants that the game was all locked up. Kenny knew that Holiday had made up his mind not to let the game get out of hand. Started throwing real flames. He got Eddie Boschy on a strikeout and Henry on a fly ball. Then he batted first in the 5th inning. He stepped up to the plate and smacked Brunson's first pitch to the left field corner. He ran hard and swung to second for a double. Kenny felt his stomach tighten. Sitting on the bench was 10 times worse than playing. And then he saw his dad coming his way. "Just ran and got some tape," he said. "I want to tape that ankle." "Why? Coach might need you again." While his dad was taping the ankle, Kenny heard the ping of a metal bat. He looked up to see Holiday rounding third and heading home. "Oh no," Kenny said. His dad grinned at him. "It's fun, remember? We can't lose now. We've got it if we can just hold on." Well, getting all nervous and worried won't help a bit. Just then, Kenny heard "Directory!" Dodger fans roared. Bunsen was staying tough. And by the time Dad had finished taping, Bunsen had struck out on another guy. Kenny felt it a lot better. He could put weight on his ankle without a lot of pain. And Bunsen was getting them out. But Craney was coming out to bat. He was yelling something at Bunsen. Bunsen threw a real smoker, but it was high and Harlan had to go way up for it. Craney's mouth was still going, and Craney knew that Bunsen wanted more than anything to strike him out. But that was the problem. He was pressing too hard again.
He wasn't all that wild, but Craney waited him out and finally got a walk on a close call. Craney's mouth never stopped. When he reached first base, he yelled, "You're shot, Bunsen, you're falling apart." Coach Wilkins shouted at the same time, "Ronnie, relax." Gave Bunsen a big smile. Bunsen nodded, but he didn't smile. The leadoff batter was stepping in. Bunsen took a long breath. He said something to himself and then stepped out to the rubber and fired a pitch on the outside edge of the and down in the strike zone. The batter took a good swing, but he hit the ball off the end of the bat. It skittered toward the right side. Leon charged, scooped it, spun it, and threw. The Dodgers were out of the inning and still ahead 5-2. Thank you for listening to me read. If you want to hear how the story ends, you can check it out at your local library.
Hi, my name is Christine Fidelli, and I am going to read Squirtle the Turtle is Missing. Chapter 1, Hit the War. Pikachu, shouted Pikachu. Pikachu was Ash's Ketchum's first Pokemon. It was saying, "Hit the water." Pikachu was on vacation with Ash. They were on Cinnabar Island. Ash had brought 2 other Pokemon, Bulbasaur and Squirtle, with him. He was staying with his friend Brock. Brock's Pokemon, Vulpix, was there too. Pikachu, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle and Vulpix had spent the morning buying ribbons, maracas, and Pokeballs and straw hats. Now the whole gang was surfing, all except Squirtle. It was sitting on the beach. Bulbasaur, said Bulbasaur, which meant, "What are you waiting for, Squirtle?" Each Pokemon spoke its own language, but they all could understand one another. Vulpix, said Vulpix. "Yeah, Squirtle, don't be such a baby." Squirtle was not going anywhere. It was enjoying itself lying there in the sun. The warm sun made it feel so good. It felt lazy and relaxed. It could hardly keep its eyes open. "Squirt, Squirtle, squirt," said Squirtle. "Leave me alone. I am staying right here." Chapter 2, Do Not Move. Pikachu, Vulpix, and Bulbasaur had fun in the waves, but when they came out of the ocean, they did not see Squirtle. It was not anywhere on the beach. "Pika, Pika," said Pikachu. "Squirtle, where are you?" "Oh, Vulpix," said Vulpix. "I guess Squirtle went home." Bulbasaur, added Bulbasaur. "I think we hurt Squirtle's feelings. We should not have teased it." Thank you for listening to me. If you want to hear what happened to this story, please check it out in your local library.
My name is Jennifer Lakeville, and I will be reading Judy Moody, A Bad Moon. Judy Moody did not want to give up summer. She did not feel like brushing her hair every day. She did not feel like memorizing spelling words. And she did not want to sit next to Frank Pearl, who eats paste, in class. Judy Moody was in a mood, not a good mood, a bad mood, a mad-faced mood. Not even the smell of her new cracked pencils could get her out of bed. "First day of school," sang her mother. "Shake a leg and get dressed." Judy Moody slunk down under the covers, put a pillow over her head. "Judy, did you hear me? Roar!" said Judy. She would have to get used to a new desk in a new classroom. Her new desk would not have an armadillo sticker like her old one last year. Her new classroom would not have a porcupine named Roger. And with her luck, she'd get sitting in the front row where Mr. Todd could see every time He tried to pass a note to her best friend, Rocky. Mom poked her head inside Judy's room again. And think about brushing that hair, okay? One of the worst things about the first day of school was everybody came back from summer wearing new t-shirts that said Disney World or SeaWorld or Jamestown, home of Pocahontas. Judy searched her top drawer and her bottom drawer and even her underwear drawer. She could not find one shirt with words. She wore her tiger striped pajama pants on the bottom and a plain old no words t-shirt on top. "She's wearing pajamas," said her brother Stink when she came downstairs. "You can't wear pajamas to school." Stink thought he knew everything now that he was starting second grade. Judy glared at him with one of her famous troll stares. "Judy can change after breakfast," Mom said. "I made sunny-side eggs for the first day of school," said Dad. "They're squishy bread for dipping." There was nothing sunny about Judy's egg. The yellow middle was broken. Judy slid her wobbly egg into the napkin, under the table, on the napkin, and fed it to Mouse, their cat, under the table. "Summer is over and I didn't even get to go anywhere," said Judy. "You went to Grandma Lou's," said Mom. "But that's right here in Warrenville, Virginia." Thank you for listening to me read. If you want to know how the story ends, you can check it out at your local library.
Reading is fun!
What's fun?
Reading!
And where do you go to school?
Mount St. Mary's!
And what grade are you in?
Third!
And what do you love?
Reading!